Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, this is a complaint video. You know what I'm saying? We're going to complain a little bit. It is what it is. We've had some of my major uploaders in the boxing community, people, that's been doing it for a long time and got tons of subscribers and things like that, have come out in the last weeks telling us that, Bob Arum has this NBFs on his chalkboard, right? We've seen interviews, we've heard it several occasions. NBFs means no black fighters. And, and I call a couple of years boxing to me, how just viewing it over the years, it's BTBG, beat the black guy. That's what boxing is. That's how I view it. It's just too blatant and obvious. And, then I have my Negro League fighters I've been talking about. My Negro League fighters is Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, Demetrius Andrade, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Devin Haney, to a lesser extent, Crawford, Terence Crawford, Deonte Wilder, and the Charlos, right? There's a few more. But major, where you're really seeing these guys not being treated right when it comes to pound for pound and respect, right? And how we're allowing fighters to avoid fights with them, but then heralding them as better than them. That's where my issue comes in. If fighters just don't want to fight them or whatever, and we don't see their names in the pound for pound list because the whole boxing industry understands that they don't want to fight them. You watch the mainstream media, they act like they know about boxing, and they do, right? They've been around it for a while, but then they know the game. They know that we're mainstream and we won't mention this. And they continue to not mention these fighters, and they know all the details that we know. So therefore, you're ignored, right? You can't have a huge drop-off of knowledge when it comes to that. Now, for example, Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, just him alone. In the past, he was the mandatory for Anthony Joshua, and he didn't get his title. They messed him up with that, right? He's not fought any top 10 heavyweight. Right? No one will fight him except Deontay Wilder. These are things that happened to him in the past. Dillian White didn't fight him when he should have on a couple of occasions. These are all documented. I'm just going through it quick because I'm talking about a lot of things. I don't want to go into everyone. All this is it's true, right? He signed for Eddie Hearn to get the Dillian White and the not the Dillian White, but the Anthony Joshua fight, and he just it didn't materialize. He had to leave Eddie Hearn. That's what happened to him in the past, right? He just never could get it. Dillian White twice, Anthony Joshua being the mandatory for him because Vladimir Klitschko asked for it to be the mandatory for the WBA to be involved in the fight with Vladimir Klitschko versus Joshua. But the winner was supposed to fight Ortiz, and they didn't. Well, long story short. And in the present, right, Dillian White got knocked out by Povetkin and, couldn't get the rematch immediately, and he called out some names that he would like to fight, 4 of them. One of them being Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. He immediately said, hey, what's up with me? Since then, Dillian White hasn't said nothing to him, and lo and behold, that Povetkin fight is going to happen in March, right? But Dillian White wanted to fight in January, right? Until Ortiz was there to oblige him. Nothing happened. When it comes to Demetrius Andrade, another Negro League fighter, right? And he doesn't get the respect he deserves. This man has been champion for 6 years, has been trying to get Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, even when he was at 154 and 160, and he still doesn't get his respect. Act like he's not there, like he's some kind of Bigfoot or something, right? He couldn't get Canelo at 154. Last year, he could have fought Canelo for undisputed. The whole boxing industry ignored it, right? Billy Joe Saunders was supposed to fight him. He got doped, right? But Billy Joe Saunders is going to get the opportunity to fight Canelo, even though he was doped against trying to fight Demetrius Andrade, right? And he did some other transgressions. We know about all this stuff he did on the internet, right? Can't do that. So he can't get the fight with Billy Joe Saunders now or back then, right? He's not doped either. So he should be getting the fight with Canelo or whatever. Can't do it, right? And what's happening to him in the present? What's happened to him in the present? Well, his mandatory is Jaime Munguia, and Jaime Munguia doesn't want to fight him, and no one is mentioning that Jaime Munguia is not fighting him, is avoiding him, right? And then I hear some things, which I don't really, because from my favorite uploaders, Demetrius Andrade is not getting the respect, like he doesn't want to fight nobody, whatever. There's nothing, no stone unturned from Demetrius Andrade when trying to fight Canelo and Gennady Golovkin and others. None. He's banned from their press conferences. He can't go there anymore. He's a champion, which is what you would ask. And I was the key to undisputed. What else is the fighter supposed to do? I don't know. Is there something else? Right? So there's nothing else the man can do. Now, if somebody likes him or doesn't like him, that's something different. But becoming a champion, and I'm still undefeated, and I'm calling you out on air, behind the scenes, can't come to your fights, and I'm still awesome. What else is somebody supposed to do? Right? Act like that's ridiculous to me. Demetrius Andrade is the man, and he's my number one pound for pound, for example, because no one goes through so much lengths to avoid somebody. I don't care what everybody else is saying. Watch it yourself. Don't be a follower. Good boxers, great boxers, don't want to have anything to do with this guy. That's the reason. Just like the rest of them. If we're going to talk about the rest of them, which I'm about to, then damn it, Demetrius Andrade is all that. Period. Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux beat Nonito Donaire when Nonito Donaire was all that. Number 3 pound for pound. Smaller than him, beat him. Right? What they do, they blackballed him. Herald the rest of the guys. Said, he's boring after beating a big old Nonito Donaire. Right? Then he couldn't get any fights. So 122 was big enough. He went up to 130 to try to fight Lomachenko. No one said, hey, Lomachenko, come down to 126 to meet him, because actually Guillermo Rigondeaux is a 118-pounder. You can see that now. He's over 40, fighting at 118. 122 was already big. He was just trying to do everything in his power to just get a good fight. No one asked Lomachenko to come to 126, even though he had just left. To meet him damn near halfway. Wouldn't have been halfway. 124 would have probably been halfway, but okay, right? Go there. Wouldn't happen. They want him to go fight it. And then he stopped against your boy Lomachenko in round 6 because his hand was broke, his left hand, or was definitely injured. And people were like, you should still be fighting. Why did you quit? Get out of here, man. This dude is huge and he's awesome. I'm not fighting him with one hand, not even my strong hand. Why would I want to do that? Live to fight another day. And it's unfair anyway. But anyway, coming back down from 130 way back to 122, do you know the IBF took his title from him? They didn't do that to Kell Brook. They didn't do that to Mikey Garcia. They did it to him. Took his belt. Why? So we could have the rest of these guys fighting, because nobody was going to try to fight him. This actually happened, and we call that legal in boxing. Right? Right now, he's still not getting his respect. And we have a guy right in that weight division who we're calling the monster, Inoue. And he's like number 3 and number 4 pound for pound. No one's calling for Inoue to fight a 40-year-old Rigondeaux, which would prove something. And it would probably help in his undisputed status. Right? Because Guillermo Rigondeaux is a regular champion right now. But Inoue knows damn well that's the most significant fight there, but no one's asking for it to happen. Right? Another Negro League fighter. They're going to give him an opportunity to be great. What about Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford can't fight Manny Pacquiao. I've been mentioning it all the time. They ain't going to let him fight Pacquiao for 4 or 5 years now, because if he fight Pacquiao, it's the passion of the torch. He's a household name at that point. He's number 1 pound for pound in some people's eyes, but they're doing it reluctantly, right? He gets no respect for being undisputed, and it's only 2 people in boxing that are undisputed. Josh Taylor might get it soon, because he's got an easy one in Ramirez. I think Josh Taylor's going to win that fight, and he'll be undisputed too. But as of right now, Terence Crawford at 140, and boxing royalty Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight, undisputed. The respect that Terence Crawford gets is not where it should be. He's the best fighter in boxing, actually. I just put your boy Demetrius Andrade in front of him because of the simple fact ain't nobody trying to fight him. But Demetrius Andrade can be number 2, because actually Terence Crawford is all that. And you can see that by him moving up in weight and still in welterweight. Wasn't nobody in a rush. They aren't coming now, but this guy is definitely all that. And here's another thing. The reason why he's not able to sell him, and I'm going to be straight up, the reason why Terence Crawford is not going to be a big draw is because, and I'm going to say it again, there is no scenario where they see a non-black fighter beating him that hinders you from selling. There has to be this element of somebody non-black is going to beat this guy. And there's no one in or around his weight class that they can see that's going to do that. Not even a Josh Taylor. Right? And that's the only one that you could possibly. That's the only thing. And that's the problem there. Because if you ain't going to put Manny Pacquiao in against him, then you know how good he is. Right? So, why would we talk about another one? Deonte the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Whatever, man. 40 KOs in a row. People 25 pounds heavier than him. You know what I'm saying? People love Gennady Golovkin, but not really him. 25 pounds heavier, 40 knockouts in a row. right? Ruling heavyweight champion, right? Now we got to fight with a non-American who could have possibly been cheated by, and no one cares about it whatsoever, right? That's what's happening now. So Deonte Wilder has really never got the respect I think he deserves. I think if Deonte Wilder was from any other country, he would have been a mega star in that country, just America. But I think everybody understands what America is. If you didn't understand how America really ticks years ago, or when we've been talking to you, or when we're saying back BTBG and what others are saying about how boxing really rolls, then now you do. You done woke up, because it's a civil war as we speak, right? Devin Haney, another Negro League boxer, lightweight, right? Lightweight right now. Nobody, we had a tournament with him, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, and Richard Comey. Everybody trying to act like they didn't see that tournament, right? That was the tournament. Lomachenko was like, shit, I ain't fighting no damn Devin Haney. Give me that franchise belt that damn Canelo just got, because he didn't want to fight your boy Charlo. I want the same thing. He got it. Devin Haney standing there. They give him the real WBC belt. Lomachenko fights the easier guy, Teofimo Lopez, and boom, he beats him. Now Teofimo Lopez don't have to fight the real champion in Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's mandatory is Ryan Garcia, and he ain't got to fight him either. And we always talk about the wrong side of the street and all of that. Oh, well, you need to sign with this, and you need to sign with that, like Terence Crawford. He needs to sign with PBC, and then he can get the fights. No, he doesn't. He didn't need to sign with him to fight Felix Diaz or John Molina, right? If the fights need to happen, Garcia is at the zone, the same where with your boy Devin Haney. Same place. But he's talking about Gervonta Davis on the other side of the street. When you don't want to fight somebody, Jaime Munguez is supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade, same side of the street. Don't matter, because you'll go on another side of the street to fight somebody else when you don't want to fight somebody. That's bull. Or like you English people might say, that's bullocks. Devin Haney is being avoided by his mandatory and the guy who can make us have an undisputed champion at lightweight. And what you mean by undisputed is it won't be disputed. But we don't want to have that, right? Look at Jamal Charlo. He was supposed to have 2 interim fights or more to be Canelo's mandatory. 2 years he was Canelo mandatory. They didn't have nothing else they could tell him, and then they said, well, we're going to make this franchise belt, right? Now, mind you, he wanted Canelo at 154 pounds too. But he moved up to 160 after Canelo did, and did everything they asked him to fight. He fought Highland and another guy, and had 2 interim fights. Now he's the mandatory. Then Canelo goes and gets the franchise title. That was how the franchise title was born. And everybody knows that Charlo is a formidable opponent. But he's being ignored by this franchise belt. Canelo's never had to fight him. And the people ignore. Canelo wants to be this at 168. You know what they could have did? Because it was the WBC. Instead of just giving the title to Canelo, they could have said, oh, well, Charlo has said openly he'll go to 168 to fight you for that title. Benavidez as well, right? Talking about Canelo. But no, we'll just give it to him. And then we'll put a Yildirim in there instead of Charlo or Benavidez. We'll put Yildirim in there, right? Whatever. Jamal Charlo is also a twin brother of someone. Comes from Texas. Brash guys, awesome. Only 1 defeat from both of them, but with 60 fights or something. And that 1 defeat was avenged by his little brother Jamel. Jamel's at 154 and got 3 titles, and got 3 titles in the 154 pound division, which is good, and he ain't in the pound list, right? Negro League fighters, man, and they're exciting fighters. So that's what my point is, brothers. I hate to be honest, but that's why I don't watch a lot of fights. You know what I'm saying? I don't watch a lot of fights because it's just way too much stuff going on in boxing. Demetrius got to fight Leon Williams. Canelo went up to fight Kovalev when he could have fought Demetrius Andrade. Lomachenko, I just talked about that with Haney. Teofimo Lopez is just going to fight whoever. Talking about Kambosos when Kambosos beat Leo Selby. Like all of a sudden he's more, he's the guy you have to fight when actually you don't have to fight a mandatory. Undisputed trumps mandatory. And it was the tournament that you were supposed to fight, Teofimo. I mean, just stuff going on like that. Boxing should not be called a sport. It's the WWE or WWF, right? It should not be called sport anymore, really. And we should give it over to the FBI, right? Or arbitrary commission to clean it up before we call it sport. It has really very little to do with sport right now, right? These rankings should be banned. These people who keep ignoring all of these details that a guy like me knows. Now, I am a sport watcher, right? So I'm kind of knowledgeable about what I'm talking. I wouldn't be on here talking up here definitely for free, right? But yeah, I'm kind of knowledgeable with sport. But most people understand these people. These people that are all on these mainstream websites, mainstream media, on TV telling you stuff, they know these informations, but they keep this away from you, right? On purpose. And it's starting to be blasphemous. It's just no reason for brothers to really be watching a lot of these fights when they happen. You know what I'm saying? Then, I can't come on here, man, let's watch that fight, man, this is going to be this. Very rarely does that happen, right? Because there's something going on in the background which is not fair. And most of the time when it's not fair to brothers. And that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, this is coming from a brother, but it is the way it is. And I would not come on here, ever, to tell no lies about nothing. Why? Because it's free. You know what I'm saying? I ain't wasting my time to come in here lying. Ain't nobody paying me to come in here and lie about something. And it wouldn't happen. It's the damn truth, and it irks me, and I hope it irks you. MBFs. Doma Sports Talk. Worldwide. And we up out of here, y'all.